Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So folks, much like how Julius Caesar said, cry havoc and let loose the dogs of war, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in this episode. As the thumbnail image of this episode shows, it says, let loose lions of war. Well, we're going to be talking about how the Detroit Lions, over the last couple of years, have built this absolutely just monster of a team. And a team that, quite frankly, a lot of people do not look forward to playing. Some might look forward to it because of the challenge, but nobody's looking forward to playing to us because of, oh, well, you know what, it's an easy win, or, oh, you know what, we can beat them and it's going to be a relatively easy time doing so. That's not going to happen. Because over the last 5 years, the Lions have undergone an awesome transformation from a laughingstock to a powerful team that others get apprehensive knowing they have to play. And over the years, this has only increased and gotten more profound around the NFL. Let's just call it for what it is. Nobody wants to play us because they know that it's not going to be an easy out anymore. It's not going to be, oh, we see the Lions on our schedule, that's one we can just chalk up as an easy win. That's just a W. If you're going to play us, they now know they're going to have to bring their hard hat and they're going to have to bring their lunch pail because it's going to be a fight. But to simply say that the Lions have built something great is vastly doing a disservice to the sheer magnitude of work that has resulted in what we see today. And what the Lions have now today is, as I said, it is this enormous, horrific monster to anyone who faces them. Because the Lions are coming with a vengeance to destroy any and all that get in their way. And it's not just one part of the team. Oh, no. But rather, it's the whole team. Every part of this team is a significant part of this monster that strikes fear and it strikes opponents with anxiety. And as such, each unit does so in a different way. It does so in a different kind of manner. Let's first and foremost talk where a lot of this is going to, start for most teams, and that's the trenches, which the trenches I'd like to call the mighty armor of this monster. Because think about it. You take a look at any big monster that is on any TV show or any movie that's ever been brought up, they're often very mean, they're strong, they're violent. And this concept that I'm talking about here is very much applicable to the Lions and their trench warfare that they have with their linemen. The Lions have by far one of the deepest and best talent pools on both sides of the line. But it's not just our line's, amount of talent that we have. They're also physically nasty, and they play with this dirt dog mindset that they will impose their dominance on virtually anyone. And they don't care who they will face. They will deliver an ass whooping regardless. Let's just think about this for a moment. Take a look at both sides of our offensive and defensive line. If you take a look at the offensive line The likely starters are going to be Decker, Glasgow, Ragnow, Ratledge, and Sewell. And then, when you take a look at that, and then you start looking at backups, you got guys like Mahogany, Frazier, you have obviously Swordsdale, you obviously have a whole bunch of other guys that are right behind them that can play at just as good a level. They're not starters on our line, but probably somewhere else they could be. Then you take a look at the defensive line. There's Hutchinson, there's McNeil, there's Reeder, there's Hazanin. Those are going to be your likely starters, or Davenport. And then you've got other guys that can fill in as rotational players that are also starting level, such as Levi Onwuzurike, such as Malik Williams, such as, Josh Paschal. There's a whole bunch of Lions that are on both sides of these lines that are absolutely just devastating. One in particular guy is not going to do it. There are some guys that are absolutely just imposing no matter which way you want to slice it, such as Sewell and Hutchinson, Ragnow being another. But some of these guys, when you think about it and you impose them all into this collective unit, they're just a dominating force, an absolutely fearful force to try and handle. And this is a deep and stacked 2 units of lines that each of these guys that play that I've brought up, they play so with a ferocious nature that makes facing them a challenge. It's difficult to try and get an edge on them. So for this mighty monster, the mighty armor that I'm talking about, it starts with the trenches. It starts with our lines. Now, let's move to the offensive skill positions, of which there are quite a few different things we have to talk about. And again, as is the case with many monsters, they're not just big and strong, but they also possess special abilities or powers that heighten their ability to do damage. And the Lions follow in this analogy quite perfectly, actually. Offensively, the Lions possess a literal plethora of weapons that allow them to be a dangerous monster in a multitude of ways, amplifying their attack capability exponentially. First and foremost, let's take a look at Jared Goff here, the quarterback. Jared Goff is what I would like to call the all-seeing eyes of this monster, or another way to put it would be like laser beams from this monster. Because as the quarterback, Goff sees everything on the field for the offense, but he also ensures that the other weapons are in the right position to succeed as well. But his key ability is throwing passes around the field with, as I just mentioned, laser precision, which Goff has demonstrated profoundly since being in Detroit. Let's just think about this. If you take a look at Goff's numbers since joining in 2022, he's got the 4th highest completion percentage out of all quarterbacks. He is ranked number 1 in passing yards, ranked 4th in pass average per throw, ranked number 1 in passing touchdowns, tied 6th in passing touchdown percentage per throw, tied 5th in passing interception per throw, and ranked 3rd in passer rating. Just on a base level, Jared Goff is top 5. There's no argument there. There's no argument you can make that can say that Jared Goff isn't. And then when you go to something that he's even better at, which is play action passing in that same time frame since 2022, Goff is ranked 2nd in completion percentage, number 1 in passing yards, tied 1st in pass average per throw, number 1 in passing touchdowns, tied 2nd in passing touchdown percentage per throw, tied 5th in pass interception percentage per throw, and ranked number 1 in passer rating. Jared Goff's just an absolute beast when it comes to frickin' play action passing. So between the actual generic stats and then when you talk about the play action stats, Jared Goff is just an absolute monster at what he does. He's absolutely one of the best at what he does. And then I actually have a sticky note here that I had to write in afterwards because I found this out as well. Here's something that really is going to blow your mind. When you take a look at Jared Goff's on-target percentage over the last 3 years, he is ranked 3rd, 2nd, and 11th. And this is going from 2024 to 2023 to 2022. He's been absolutely surgical, laser precise when it comes to his on-target percentage. And that's also while being one of the most heavily blitzed quarterbacks over the last 2 years. In 2022, actually the last couple of years, but in 2022, he was tied first for the most times blitzed by a quarterback. In 2023, he was ranked 3rd. Now in 2024, it dropped off significantly. And the reason why I believe that's the case is because teams finally kind of wised up that blitzing Goff is not a good idea. Because it doesn't matter if you blitz him or not. He's still going to beat you. And he's still going to beat you with his laser precision that absolutely just carves up defenses like freaking Thanksgiving Day turkeys. Now that's the quarterback. That's Goff. But there's more. Absolutely more. Now let's take a look at Gibbs and Monty, or as they're now affectionately called, Sonic and Knuckles. This is what I like to call the speed-power combo that's unmatched. Because some monsters, they don't just have special abilities like laser beams. They also are physically powerful on top of that, and even furthermore on top of that, they're insanely quick and fast. The Lions have the benefit of both of these qualities in immense measure. When you take a look at Sonic and Knuckles, which their nicknames are perfectly matching to the embodiment of what these powers and abilities have to this monster, take a look at Gibbs since 2023, since joining the Lions. Even though he's only tied 14th in rushing attempts, he's ranked 5th in rush yards. He's ranked 2nd in rush average per rush. He's tied 2nd in rushing touchdowns. And his touchdown percentage per rush, his first downs, and his first down percentage per rush, absolutely off the charts. But when you also look at Monty, it makes it even better. Even though Monty's not as good as Gibbs, he's still pretty damn good. Ranked 19th in rushes, ranked 17th in rushing yards, tied 12th in rushing average per rush, ranked 4th in rushing touchdowns. And again, insanely high numbers for touchdown percentage per rush, first downs, and first down percentage per rush. But here's where it gets even better. When you take a look at Gibbs and you go to next-gen stats, last year in 2024, he had the 3rd highest, fastest, whatever way you want to call it, timed rush at 22.03 miles per hour. 3rd fastest. And that's per next-gen stats. He also had the 4th most rush yards over expected, kind of rush. So he got more rushing yards than what was expected per their computer model, with 225 yards more than what he was expected to get. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Gibbs was getting big runs in extremely tough areas where he wasn't supposed to get them. And then when you flip over to Monty again, Monty in 2024 had the 10th highest 8+ defenders in the box percentage of all running backs. And that was, again, from Next Gen Stats. It was at 25.41%. 25.41%. That tells me that his power and ability to overcome immense odds while he is absolutely stacked against with other people in the box is absolutely ridiculous. So it doesn't matter if we beat you with speed, we'll beat you with power, and vice versa. And if that doesn't work, we'll beat you with laser beams. Which then brings me back to what I was talking about earlier with Goff, but now let's take a look at it from the other side of the equation, which is our receivers, our receiving element. Guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Laporta, and all the other guys. Those are what I like to call the paws of precision. The Lions have a great ensemble of receivers that give great reach and striking effect to this monster I'm speaking of. But this monster features such powerful paws that seldom does anything ever escape its grasp. To be caught in the clutches of this monster the Lions have built is to face near certain destruction. Again, let me show you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, since joining the Lions in 2021, tied first in receptions, ranked 6th in targets, ranked 7th in receiving yards, ranked 22nd in passing average per reception, so yards that he got per reception, but he's also tied 5th in receiving touchdowns. And again, touchdown percentage per reception, first down percentage per reception, absolutely just wild. And again, low number of drops and low drop percentage. You go to Sam Laporta, you're going to get the same damn story. For tight ends, all tight ends since joining the NFL in 2023, he's ranked 4th in receptions, ranked 5th in targets out of all tight ends, ranked 4th in receiving yards out of all tight ends, ranked 6th in average per reception out of all tight ends, and tied 1st out of all tight ends with, touchdowns. And again, touchdown percentage per reception, first down percentage per reception, and drop percentage, all insane great numbers. But the one element that a lot of people don't consider in this is JMO. Jameson Williams' numbers, they don't jump out when compared to his other peers from the same draft class, or even maybe when you're talking about with Amon-Ra St. Brown. But in 2024, JMO was ranked 25th in receptions and targets. He was ranked 21st in receiving yards, ranked number 1 in yards per average per reception, and tied 10th in receiving touchdowns. And again, high touchdown percentage per reception, high first down percentage per reception, and low drops and low drop percentage. And if all that wasn't convincing enough, the team drop percentage in 2024, with these 3 guys leading the way, was at a 2.2%, second lowest in the NFL. So think about it. Between our offensive line, which is absolutely just this damn near impenetrable armor, you've then got laser beams coming from Jared Goff. You've got speed and power almost unequivocally matched coming from Gibbs and Monty. And then you've got these paws of just absolute power and precision from St. Brown, Laporta, and JMO. And that's not even including Tim Patrick and all the other guys that we got. I mean, dude, the offensive firepower that the Lions have is just absolutely just out of this world. And now we get to the defense. Now we get to this side of the argument, which is, let's start with, since we already talked about the defensive line, with the overall, conversation of our lines, let's talk about the defensive backfield, which is our no-fly zone, which is our error manipulation unit, which is guys like Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Amik Robertson, Kirby Joseph, and Brian Branch. There are some monsters out there that they specialize in making opponents or making their quote-unquote victims just make the wrong decision. And it absolutely screws them over, and it benefits the monster immensely. Well, it goes without saying that our defense is a turnover machine. It's very opportunistic in getting opposing offenses to make errors. And the monsters that I'm talking about that have the ability for people to react foolishly under pressure and make mistakes, that's exactly what this Lions defensive secondary does. It's no damn different. Because think about it. Not only have we forced interceptions, we also have forced fumbles as well by imposing not only our will, but by restricting damage through the air and damage overall. Our defense in 2024 was very good in lulling teams into a false sense of security, and that is usually when we strike in getting our takeaways. Let me just show you something here. In 2024, our Lions pass defense was one of the best in the NFL. Take a look at these numbers. We had the second lowest completion percentage out of any defense in the NFL. Granted, we gave up a lot of yards. We were ranked 30th in that category, so damn near the bottom. But take a look at this. We were tied second in passing touchdowns given up. Ranked first in passing touchdown percentage per throw given up. Tied 5th in interceptions. Tied 8th in interception percentage per throw given up. And we were ranked number 1 in passer rating given up. So aside from the passing yards, this defense made it damn near impossible to score on, number 1. But it also made it a 1-to-1 ratio almost of touchdowns to interceptions, which, let's just call it for what it is. That is a precarious proposition for an offense and for a quarterback to think of, because that means that you, when you throw the ball, know you have about as good a chance of throwing a pick as you have a touchdown. That makes it almost not worth throwing the ball most of the times. It's just better to try and run the ball, which, as I already mentioned with our defensive line, that's not a good proposition either. So, okay, we've talked about air manipulation, laser beams, speed, power, pause of precision, mighty armor. I mean, dude, this is one fearsome monster. This is a monster that you just don't want to deal with. This is what I'd like to call a lion from hell. Kind of like the lions that I have on the front of my, thumbnail image. But now let's get to the last component here, which is the linebackers, which I call our tempered and flexible core. Again, you can talk about speed, you can talk about power, but in most monster lore, these beasts that I'm talking about, they often possess unbelievable amounts of strength, but also legendary amounts of will, perseverance, and stamina, and yes, even grit, much like the Hat. Linebackers are perhaps the most physical group of a team outside of the linemen. And you have to think about it. They're constantly rushing into collisions with, ball carriers to tackle them. They're taking the brunt of punishment from, linemen when they're on poles or when they're trying to get outside. Whatever the case might be. Linebackers are very physical. And because of that, they have to be extremely flexible and they have to be extremely full of energy, stamina, perseverance, whatever term you'd like to go with. So they have to have endurance. And the Lions linebackers, they definitely fit this and other characteristics that I've talked about here to a literal T. Take a look at Jack Campbell. Probably one of my most favorite picks that the Lions have made. Definitely not my favorite one, but one of my most favorite ones. You take a look at his stats and analytics from 2024. Jack Campbell was tied 17th out of all linebackers in terms of tackles. Combined tackles, not solo or assisted, just combined. He had the 6th lowest missed tackle percentage rate out of all linebackers. Tied 4th in his defensive grade from PFF. Ranked 7th in his run defense grade from PFF. Ranked 5th in his tackle grade from PFF. And ranked 6th in his coverage grade from PFF. Jack Campbell showed last year that he is, as I've said earlier in another episode, he is quite literally almost ready to just come out on the stage as one of the best linebackers in the business. And then you take a look at Alex Anzalone. Alex Anzalone missed quite a bit of time last year because his tackles aren't nearly as high as Jack Campbell. They're only at 63. Doesn't even make mention it's not even worth mentioning where he ranks because it'd be like in the hundreds somewhere. But all of his other stuff is pretty damn good. Because, let's see here. His missed tackle percentage, tied 11th. His defense grade, ranked 22nd. His run defense grade isn't as high. It's ranked 50th. But again, that's out of an absolute just ridiculous amount of linebackers. He's ranked 12th in his tackle grade from PFF. And he's ranked 4th in his coverage grade from PFF. So again, think about this. Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell combined are two of the best linebackers in the NFL at what they do. That right there is a rather interesting proposition because we have a deep-ass line on both sides of the ball. We have an absolute just stellar quarterback, a top 5 quarterback. We have 2 top 32 wide receivers in J-Mo and frickin' Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have a top 5 tight end. We have a top 5 running back in Gibbs. We have another top 20 running back in Montgomery. We have an absolutely just opportunistic as hell defensive secondary. I mean, dude, you look everywhere with this defense and offense. We have every single component that would make this monster, if it was to come to the silver screen, be one that nobody could find a way to beat. Because it has everything that you could try to find to make it almost impervious to attack. And when you're talking about the linebackers, as I just was, which is Campbell, Anzalone, and Barnes, and you also include Rodrigo, who's coming back with Barnes this year because both of those guys were out for significant periods of time last year with injury. And then you take a look at all of the other elements that I've talked about, and you put it all together. You are talking about a monster that absolutely strikes fear into every single opponent they face. Because it's like, listen, there's no real weakness on this team. It's nothing but strengths virtually everywhere you look. And it's not just strength up front. There's tons of depth behind it as well. This team has been constructed almost as perfectly as you could possibly put it to get it to where it needs to be to absolutely dominate on every single level. I don't see a way that this monster could be beat unless it gets just beat by being worn down from individual components breaking. This monster is literally a machine that has been built almost as perfectly as you could possibly imagine. It's like an evil scientist built it to be as resistant to any sort of outside attack as possible. The only way to beat it is from the inside. And that's why when I look at this Lions team, it is a beautiful, horrific monster. And the Lions of Hell, they're coming. And I don't think a lot of teams are ready for this team with not only the talent that they have, but just the sheer unmitigated amount of indomitable will that they're going to have to just absolutely kick ass and take names. This is a monster that it's like, listen, you would just be better off just saying, hey, you know what? I already know I ain't going to win. Trying to resist is futile. But we'll see what happens all the same. But anyway, folks, I've presented my message. I've presented my facts, my statistics, my data. You guys do with it what you will. You guys let me know what you think. Just please be respectful. Having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. Also encourage you all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage you all, please make sure you hit that bell notification icon so you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also want to encourage you all to share the content. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can. Share it with your Lions friends and family members. The more we can do that, the greater the channel can grow. We're almost to 10,000 subscribers. You guys have been an absolutely just fantastic, wonderful audience. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the content. Hope it was able to give you guys something that you guys really are excited about. That's what I try to do with every single episode. I know myself, I'm very excited about this prospect. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed, not only this episode, but enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend and holiday. Hope you all got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.